Reporting from Arkham Asylum, this is Gotham Rogues. In this video, we count down the 5 greatest Scarecrow comic book covers. Since most of you liked my top 5 best Joker covers video, I decided to continue making these types of videos. This time the spotlight falls upon the Scarecrow, and just like Joker, the Master of Fear has a great visual design, allowing for awesome comic book covers. I just love the image of a living Scarecrow. Let me know in the comments which Scarecrow covers are your favorites. And now, let's get into it. Number 5. Gotham Knights, number 23. This is the cover of a one-shot story published in 2001, and it was drawn by the legendary Brian Boland, the artist of The Killing Joke. Besides that graphic novel, he also did a lot of covers, and this is one of his greatest in my opinion. By the way, this comic also features what I consider to be the best portrayal of the fear toxin's effects, so give it a read if you haven't. But anyway, back to the cover. Just look at that face of Crane's, or should I say mask. I think that's the greatest close-up portray of the Master of Fear. The stitches, those crazy piercing eyes, the clenched teeth. Also, the way the mouth hole of the mask is cut, it looks like Crane has a giant sinister grin on his face. Needless to say, it's a really creepy looking visage. The woman with the gun is Sasha Bordeaux, Bruce Wayne's bodyguard and girlfriend at the time. What you see on the cover is her greatest fear come to life, thanks to Crane's fear toxin, namely that she's accidentally shot and killed Batman, her boyfriend. It's a simple image, yet very poignant, and far more terrifying than if she hallucinated, say, being covered in spiders. Sure, that's pretty horrific too, but imagining that you've murdered the person you love most is the ultimate terror. Number 4. Detective Comics number 503. Another cover to a one-shot. This one was published in 1981 and drawn by Jim Starlin. So just like in my Joker video, the number 4 cover doesn't actually feature the villain in question. Instead, we have this awesome image of Robin and Batgirl rushing towards a Batman Scarecrow. What's going on here? Has Crane turned the Dark Knight into a Scarecrow? Or is it just a Scarecrow dressed up in a Batman costume? You're as confused and freaked out as the two sidekicks are. I love these types of images, where they visually turn Batman into one of his villains. To me, it symbolizes his ultimate defeat at their hands. When I look at this cover, I'm thinking that Scarecrow has beaten the Dark Knight, and this is what's left of him. He's been marked, so to speak, turned into a twisted image of both himself and Crane. You can also view it as a symbol of how Batman and his rogues aren't all that different from each other. With Scarecrow, it's very obvious, as they both dress up in a freaky outfit and use fear as their primary weapon. I also really like how the picture has been angled. That and the dark sky and tall grass in the background gives this cover a sense of distress and lurking horror. Number 3. Batman the Dark Knight number 5. This comic from the early New 52 was published in 2012, and the cover was drawn by David Finch. I just love this image, the way Scarecrow looks as if he's creeping in from the corner and invading the cover. Finch has also done a very unique design for Crane here. The mask has no mouth, and the eyes glow, possibly due to the fear toxin effect, but still, it gives him this horror movie boogeyman look. In fact, this entire cover has a very strong horror movie poster style to it. And just look at the big bad Batman, brought down to his knees in absolute terror. You don't see that often with the Dark Knight. He's the guy who strikes fear into the hearts of men, not the other way around. But this is what you get when Scarecrow's around, a whimpering and cowardly Batman. And what a striking image it is. What's also done really well is the colors. A more obvious and natural color for the bubbly fear toxin would have been green, but I like that they went with purple instead. It makes the cover pop more and gives it a bit of a psychedelic look. Number 2. Batman number 189. This is a real classic. It was published in 1966, and the cover was drawn by the great Carmine Infantino. So 1966 was the same year as the Adam West TV show began its airing, and the world of Batman was smack in the middle of the silly campy era. However, the only sign of that on this cover is the phrase "holy cliffhanger." Yeah, this dark and eerie image really stands out from everything else Batman related of that period. It was actually Scarecrow's big comeback after having having been absent since 1943. What a great way to reintroduce him with this gloomy image. Most people probably didn't know who the Scarecrow was, but they must have been dying to find out when seeing this illustration. The ominous moonlight, the grim figure of Scarecrow, Batman's dire situation. It feels like something far more serious is going on here than in the other Batman comics of the time. It actually looks like the Caped Crusader has already been defeated and may even be dead. Scarecrow stands triumphantly over Batman's ragdoll body, and instead of bats we have crows circling around them. And now for the greatest Scarecrow comic book cover of them all. Number 1. Batman number 296. Published in 1977 and drawn by Sal Amendola, this is my definitive Scarecrow cover. I've always loved this one. It's just so perfect and really says everything you need to know about the character. He's the one villain that Batman fears, the only foe who can give the Dark Knight a taste of his own medicine. Here we have a completely terrified Batman, desperately running away from a huge, nightmarish Scarecrow. You get the feeling he's doomed, as the field they're on seems endless, and Kane isn't even moving forward, yet he's right on Batman's heels. I also get a scientist vibe from Scarecrow, which is of course an important part of the character. It's just the way the tiny Batman is running, hopelessly, like a lab rat in a maze, and the massive Scarecrow appears to be bending down, about to pick the helpless Batman up and hold him in the palm of his hand, like a sinister scientist toying with his guinea pig. Of course, this cover may not have been as awesome if it weren't for Sal Amendola. His artwork is so expressive and dynamic. Just look at Batman's face, for instance. He also drew the Scarecrow quite unlike anyone else did. It is the traditional classic design, yet more freakish and monstrous looking. So there you have it. Those are the 5 best Scarecrow comic covers in my opinion. Remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.